So today I wanted to do something different. I wanted to talk about my dream. I've talked about this in previous videos, about my dream of creating a live act, you know? It's one of the reasons why I've been building this Dawless gear pile that I have right behind me on an IKEA shoe stand, by the way. Not sponsored, but it's great if you want to show off your gear like this, and it's really inexpensive. It was like 15 euros or so. So yeah, my dream is to create a live act that I could present, you know, live at venues, that I could go around and show my work to people, have fun. That's something that I really want, is to have fun while other people have fun as well. I want something that I'm not just, you know, going on stage and pressing a button and everything is pre-sequenced, so it just goes along those tracks like a train, and I'm just there, you know, just jamming and dancing and occasionally turning some filter off or on or whatever. No, I want something to be more active than that. I want it to go on a specific path, because I believe that a live act, or at least the one that I have for me, I wanted to have like this specific path where it goes from it has different stages, ups and downs, you know. But I would like it to have like a building block kind of feel, where different parts of the songs, like for example the drums, some synths, and other elements could be shared between them, so that my show would never be completely repeated. I could have some fun on the fly, changing some synth parameters, creating new beats on the fly, for example. I want that sort of vibe, you know, so I can have fun and get really into what I'm doing, and kind of have that challenge of changing things on the fly and having no safety net. It's kind of a risk, but I think the reward that you get for things when they are successful, it gives you like a rush of dopamine. And in order to have this kind of live act, I need gear that does very specific things. For example, I need gear or a piece of gear in that setup that plays samples. I've dropped the idea of playing full loops because, as I'll talk about later, it's more cumbersome. I want the bass and some of the synths to be live, an actual piece of gear that I can change on the fly, so I can make it more organic and adapt to certain situations or certain things that I want to do. And another thing is that I want the drums to be separated from the rest, meaning that I don't want a single piece of gear sequencing the synths, the samples, and also the drums, because that kind of makes it more difficult to change one part of it if I want. Nice to haves are effects, of course. They always make things sound better, and they are especially helpful in terms of the transitions between the patterns, you know, transitioning between the different songs that you have in a live act. And the final thing is, it needs to be as compact as possible, both in terms of size and also in terms of complexity. You know, it needs to not be very complex, so I can just take it anywhere and quickly just put it up, setting everything up. Preferably if I have some kind of way of kind of mixing all of the things together to make it like a complete unit. Like for example, what I've done there with the Digitakt and Digitone, you know, I've attached them to, what's the name of the thing? It's a Roadworks, I believe, a Roadworks synth stand. And after 2 years of buying all sorts of Dawless gear, I have enough gear that I can do these things. Some compromises have to be done, but I do have enough gear to do all of this. As you can see in the back, I have a bunch of gear, right? So for example, I started out with the Circuit Tracks. That was my first device ever. Really nice device for a beginner, to be honest. And then I got the Arturia Microfreak. I've just released a Microfreak Iceberg, by the way, in case you want to check it out. Then I got the Roland TR8. Yeah, it's down there. It's a little bit hidden, but it's a great drum machine. I love it to bits. Then I got the SP404 Mark II, which is there in the third row. Then I got the Digitakt. And later on, I got also a Digitone. And the thing that you see over there is a Pioneer RMX 500. This little thing right here with the two big knobs. And as you can see here, it's a lot of gear, a lot of possibilities. And my current selections, I've gone over different setups hundreds of times. right? And I've tried connecting all of this together at once. It's not good. It doesn't work with the kind of mind that I have. It's like it's great to actually figure out, in your head how the different things can be used with each other and the connections and how they're going to be laid out. For me, that's like, it's organization porn. Is that a thing? I don't know if you feel the same, but it's like that journey of actually coming with the idea and the experimentation and everything. I love that. But when you actually start using the setup, more often than not, it doesn't work the way you want, or it's not simple. That's another thing. For me, I like things that are more immediate, because when you start adding a lot of fussiness, it just gets me out of the zone. That's why, for example, I like the circuit tracks a whole lot. It's because it's so immediate. One of the reasons why I didn't really click with the Digitakt. I love it to bits, okay? And this is my opinion. Don't let my opinion drive you away of buying it if you're eyeing one. But for the type of person that I am and how I like to kind of come up with stuff and create, it's not very intuitive. You can come up with awesome things, and that's why I want it to be the brain of my operation, because it's so great. It's like a piece of gear. But I'm going to use like a weird analogy for this, but I respect it but not love it. It's like I want it to be in my team. I respect the work that it does and how it contributes, but I don't love it. But yeah, so I tried this a million ways, and I always come across some kind of wall, or I just didn't jive with the whole setup that I was building. But I think now I have like this idea of how to combine the best of my Dawless gear into something that I can use in a live setting that is powerful but still not very complex. And we'll start out with the Digitakt. The Digitakt over here is going to be the brain of the operation, right? It's going to sequence the synths. It's going to take care of the samples by itself. I'm not going to use it for drums, by the way. I'll explain why. But it's going to manage samples like, for example, vocal chops, loops, but in terms of, I'm going to chop some loops and put them there. And it's going to sequence samples that cannot be replicated using the other gear that I have. Like, for example, if I want to add some kind of piano or a synth that is not easily covered by the ones that I have here, I'm going to use it for that. You may think that it's a bit weird that I'm not using, a drum machine, basically a drum machine for sampling the drums, but I'll explain why later. So yeah, the Digitakt will be the brain of the operation. It's going to sequence two synths or two pieces of gear that I have here. It's going to sequence the Digitone. Okay, I'm still getting accustomed to the Digitone. It's a very powerful device, and it has awesome presets. I'm sorry, I'm kind of a preset monkey. Have you heard that expression before? Preset monkey? It's someone that only uses presets in their songs. It's a thing. To actually create new sound, it's kind of, since it's an FM synth, it's kind of difficult to get my head around how the operators relate to each other to create sense, but that means it's also a happy accident machine for me. You just experiment. I like that. I really like that. I like to experiment with gear, and the Digitone, I think it's cool for that. But it's also good that it has a lot of usable presets that are not just ear fluff. That don't have like these tons of effects like you often see in soft synths. It's just usable presets, and that's gonna cover like most of the maybe some leads, maybe some pads, things like that, because for the bass I specifically want the circuit tracks, and that's why I've been putting some videos about the circuit tracks and how I've created some bass patches for it. And I've learned that it, like, even if I don't really appreciate the circuit tracks in terms of some sounds, like for example, I want to create some electric piano sound kind of thing, something more mellow basically. It's not really good for that because the sound tends to be very harsh, like the synth engines that it has, they're a bit harsh. But that harshness, it actually makes for a tremendous bass machine. It's really great. And because you basically have like the possibility of having two synths two synth engines in the same device, what I'm going to do is actually use the Digitakt to sequence the two synth lanes on the circuit tracks to have both bass sounds, so I can then layer them together, because I've found out that it's really cool to have like a lower bass and then a higher bass sound and how they interact with each other. And because you have the knobs with the different settings, it's great to change on the fly, and it's like a dedicated device only for that, and in terms of live performance, to be able to have direct access to a bass element, which is really important, I think it's great. Then of course it also has internal effects like the delay and also the reverb, which is great. It has the master filter if I want to use it, and the 4 drum tracks that it has, I don't think I'm going to lay them to waste. What I was thinking was that I could add some, not drum samples there, but kind of like vocal chops or something to add texture if I need it, right? Like, for example, if I want to add like a background kind of texture thing to my songs, maybe I could add some samples there, add some reverb or some delay, and have it, just playing away at random. Maybe tweak the probability settings, that sort of thing. I'm not going to lay it to waste. I think I'm still going to use it, but at least for the bass sounds, yeah, totally want that. So the only thing missing is the drums, right? And for the drums, I'm actually using the circuit rhythm right there. And like I said, you probably think, this guy is dumb. This guy is using circuit rhythm for drums, but he's leaving Digitakt only for samples? That doesn't make any sense. Well, like I said before, one of the things that I want for this live act is to actually separate the drums from everything else. I don't want the Digitakt sequencing the drums, because then they become attached to whatever pattern that I have going on. And that goes against my building block philosophy, So what I want is the circuit rhythm to handle the drums, only the drums, in separate from everything else. And it's actually a really good device for that kind of thing. Because when you think about it, the circuit tracks and the circuit rhythm, I think they have one of the most simple interfaces ever to start producing things, to just come up with beats. It's just so very immediate and easy to use. And what I can do with that is just change things on the fly, create new beats, new sequences, change drums around, creating some I don't know, snare rolls, for example, or more hats, or change the way that change the samples, or adding effects. And that's not something that would be easy to do with the Digitakt, I believe. You can change things on the fly, but it's not as direct as a circuit rhythm, or a circuit tracks. It's just not, it just, at least to me, of course, it makes more sense to me in my head. Another great thing of the circuit rhythm is the fact that it has a master filter. And what that allows me to do is basically high pass all of the drum elements to kind of give more impact to a certain part of the beat, or for example, low pass it so the elements in higher frequencies can be hidden temporarily, so I don't have to go mute and just like do a quick sweep. And another great thing of the circuit rhythm is that it has grid effects. So I have the stutters, I have some filter modulations, I have vinyl. I have a lot of effects that I can use there, and to create kind of like variations, they're really great. I could also use the TR8, but then I would be limited to just one particular set of sounds. Well, not really. You can change the drum kits in the TR8, but it's always going to be either a 606 or 707, 808, or a 909, right? And they're great sounds. And also the effects that it has, like the reverb and also the delay. The delay is a tape delay, and you can create like these wicked, textures of the sounds coming back and over and back again, and just changing the pitch. It's amazing to create textures. But the thing is, it's not very easily sequenceable for the type of thing that I want to do. I still think that the circuit rhythm is perfect. And that's it. That's the 4 devices that I want to use. In terms of audio connections, everything would be connected to the Digitakt, because I would like the Digitakt to apply its compressor to everything together. Now, you may ask, why am I not using the SP404? Because it is a sampler. I could use it to trigger samples, even loops. And that's actually one of the reasons why I bought it in the first place. And I could use the Digitakt to sequence all of this. The thing is, the SP404 is great. I would love to use it for example, the end of chain effect, because the selection of effects on the SP404 is awesome. It has tons of things. And it's really easy to just sample something and transform it, resample using the effects, chopping it up. It's really easy to do that. But to actually sequence it from a different device, like for example the Digitakt, it's not that easy. It's a really powerful duo, the two. I watched a few videos talking about it, and I can see why. It's just that for me, it's not intuitive enough, because when I'm in the zone, I don't want to stop everything that I'm doing and to sequence a sample on the SP404 using the Digitakt, for example. I don't want to stop everything and just go look for the note, for the particular note in the MIDI channel that the bank has, in order to trigger the specific sample that I want. It's like it's very cumbersome. And besides that, I thought about using the Pioneer RMX 500 specifically for the transitions, because as you know, one of the main issues in Dawless live acts is the way that you transition between one song and the other. I don't want it to be very jarring, so I need to, create ways to go around that. And one of them, probably the easiest one, would be to get an end of chain device like that. And I've actually created a video about the RMX 500, and I have mixed feelings. That video talks about the mixed feelings that I have towards it. I think that it's a great device. It's very, very easy to use, but some decisions made by Pioneer, maybe I can understand, because it's primarily a DJ set device, and it's meant to work with different type of gear. But the fact that they don't allow us to customize it in the way that we need, sometimes it's really frustrating, to be honest. It's frustrating that Pioneer didn't do that, because it's an expensive device. And I think most of these could be solvable by firmware work, I mean, I understand that this is a 10-year-old device. They're not going to create more firmware updates for it, but it seems so easily solvable. But if you want to know more about my issues with it, you can check out the video that I've made. But yeah, maybe I'll take it for some sets, but if I come up with a way to kind of transition between the different patterns in the Digitakt in a way that I'm happy with, I'm probably not gonna use it that often. So yeah, this is my idea for my Dawless setup. I'll probably keep making this sort of videos. Like the next one will probably be me connecting everything together, doing a song or creating some kind of loop, using the setup to see if it works. But for now, I just wanted to kind of put this out there. Sometimes it's even a good way to verbalize this, settle some things in my head. But mostly, I would like to have your input about this, because you may see these gear that I have here and the setup that I have in my mind in a different way. Maybe you have new ideas, things that I'm not really thinking about right now. So I would totally love to have your feedback about this. And also another thing, for those of you that are experienced with live acts, Dawless or not, how did you get your name out there? How did you get venues to agree to you, or even asking you to perform live, Because that's the next step. Of course, the first thing is actually create a live set that I'm happy with, that I think people would like. But the next is promoting it, having an actual place to play. And if you have some kind of input about that, I would totally love to hear it, honestly. But for now, this is it. I'll see you next time. And of course, you keep jamming, all right? And have fun. Always have fun. Have a good one, guys.